3 years ago, I took my great-nephew Dax on his very first backpacking trip. The plan was to make it an annual tradition, but life had other ideas. I got sick the second year, and Dax was the one under the weather the third. Now he's 15, and we're finally back at it, this time on Washington's remote Salmo River. The goal? To spend a night in the wild, catch up on lost time, and maybe see how much Dax has grown as an adventurer. Victory! Our first trip was good, but there were some unexpected hardships, and I knew that the second day of this trip would be strenuous. I wondered whether, if this trip didn't go better, would Dax decide to hate backpacking? Would I even be able to keep up with him? Hey guys, it's Dan from ShastaBubba Adventures, and I'm here with my great-nephew Dax.
Hey.
It's been 3 years since we last got to hike together, and his head is about a foot higher and his voice is an octave lower. But he's still willing to go hiking with the old uncle, so that's pretty cool. We are at the far northeast corner of Washington State, and we're about to go explore what I think is fair to say the most remote river in the state, and that's the South Salmo River. And this is a very exceptional area for a number of reasons I'll be telling you about. But we took a little longer to get here than we expected.
Yeah.
About an hour longer of drive time. So we need to get going. Let's go. Okay. You think it's this way?
I think so.
Wilderness sign has seen better days. I love the moss. Descending into the Salmo River Valley is a remarkable transition as the Doug fir and huckleberry bushes give way gradually while descending nearly 2,000 feet to red cedars and ferns. It's both eerie and deeply peaceful at the same time, walking through the old-growth forest. In addition to its remoteness, there are a number of things that make this area unique. It receives the highest amount of rainfall of anywhere in the state east of the Cascades. It is one of the few places in Washington State where you have the chance of seeing lynx, wolverine, and even grizzlies, which is why we began the day with a crash course on bear safety and the proper use of bear spray. Until recently, this corner of Washington and Idaho was the only place in the lower 48 where you could actually see mountain caribou. Unfortunately, I discovered after the hike that the last caribou was removed in 2019 after the herd dwindled to just 3 females due to road building and climate change. Here's a hugely impressive effort on the part of the trail crews. Thanks to the Washington Trails Association. This would have been a nightmare to get through. I think they only did this like a week ago or 2. We stop now and then, partly to enjoy the scenery, partly to talk. One of the best things about backpacking is that it slows you down and makes conversations happen that wouldn't otherwise. He's still a master berry finder, though. Some things don't change. Yes, it's pretty awesome, too.
Wonder how old it is.
Dax is a much stronger hiker now, and although he had to be encouraged to take the lead before, this time he led right from the start and set a brisk pace.
You good?
That'll cool you off.
Oh yeah.
And get your dogs clean. There's a huge campsite right here, just across the river, about 3.5 miles in. Be a beautiful spot. Nicely done. Wow. Old cabin. I think we may have found our home for the night. What do you think, Dax? Should we stay here? Setting up camp is where a person's character really shows. Dax was an attentive listener, never argued about how or why to do something, and never had to be told twice. Since we ended up staying in a cabin last trip, this would actually be his first night sleeping in a tent. It's a pretty interesting old cabin. Love the old strap hinges. Guessing that was the front door. Well, we got camp set up, all ready to fall into those X-mids when the time is right. And it's a pretty convenient camp with a little workstation and a well-used fire ring. Try on top of the pile.
Yeah.
Oh, it's wanting to go. Something's smoking.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. Nice. Very cool. You don't have to get too big.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a beautiful start.
Oh yeah.
My dinner was an experiment of combining a packet of Knorr noodles with tuna for an easy meal. Cooking this way meant a long wait for the noodles to soften, but in the end, it was pretty bad and I won't be repeating it. Nailed it. First try, except well, we got here about 4 o'clock, which was probably too early in the day.
Probably.
Yeah, but it's fun to sit around getting caught up and stoking the fire. Looks like 6 miles for the day, and I think we're both feeling pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be ready to tackle that ridge tomorrow.
Yep.
Rearing to go. We sit by the fire, share stories, and let the night sounds, river, breeze, and a few distant owls be the only background noise. For me, this is what it's all about. The enchantment of sitting by a campfire, nowhere to go, taking time to talk, stare at the fire, talk a little more. No pressure or hurry. The morning is clear and brings a sense of peace. The only sounds are the river flowing and birds singing. We make coffee and breakfast and talk about the food we brought and how good it feels to finally be back on the trail together after a few missed years. I am reminded how important it is to keep making time for trips like these. Well, good morning. We had a great night's sleep. This was an awesome campsite and fun sitting around the campfire. This trip has two main highlights. The first being hanging out in the Salmo River Valley in this awesome cedar forest. So the second highlight of this trip is getting up on the ridge and having awesome views into Washington, Idaho, and even all the way up into Canada. But in order to get those views, we got to climb about 2,000 feet and should be about 12 miles today. So let's go. Let's go. Dax announced that while I was finishing packing, he had discovered a path to cross the river by rock hopping and already made a trip over and back to prove it, thus allowing us both to begin the day dry-footed. We began the long climb out of the old-growth forest that feels like the land that time forgot, and up into the sun. After a few minutes, we caught up to the trail crew and immediately noticed the difference. The spot where we've been taking a break is actually the last campsite that has access to water before you head up the ridge. Looks pretty good, a little cramped. Good for one tent easily. So I didn't realize it till now when I checked the GPS, but we actually crossed into Idaho right away this morning when we started hiking. And right now we're only half a mile south of the Canadian border. That's pretty cool if you need to make a run for it. So the guidebook was wrong about that being the last source of water, because this is a pretty good stream. I think this probably would be flowing into August. And we're 3.5 miles past where we camped. The view's getting more and more amazing. This is the dry camp up on the ridge. Looks like a saddle at least. Be a pretty nice view to camp out with. So that is Big Snowy Top. And a person can scramble up on top of that, but it would take another couple hours probably to do it. First views into Idaho, down into the Priest Lake Valley. Awesome. Love walking along a ridge where you can see down both sides. So here's the little spur trail to climb up on top of Little Snowy Top Mountain.
Yeah, those ones up around 8 Mile marker they were pretty marginal campsites.
Yeah.
And they were super buggy down there.
Oh. That's looking north into Canada. And you can just see in the distance the swath of the border. Looking east towards the Cabinet Mountains. And down there you can just see Priest Lake and Upper Priest Lake and the Priest River Valley. And back to the west. Although it's not even the tallest mountain in the area, Little Snowy Top felt like the top of the world to us, especially after just climbing out of the depths from the Salmo River. Seemed like a great place to pause and linger over lunch. But we still had a long way to go, so before long we were back on the trail. Turned out this would be the hardest stretch of the whole trip. Hard to believe we were all the way up there. I think this is called the Shed Roof Divide, technically, all along here. Not too bad. We came upon a second trail crew working their way up the loop counterclockwise, which gave us a chance to say thanks. How's it going?
Good.
Lunchtime.
Oh yeah.
Thanks so much for the work you guys are doing. Really appreciate it. So we came to a key trail junction, although the way south doesn't look very well maintained. But it's an important milestone for us to be heading back towards home. It looks like the trail crew all spread out on this campsite, which otherwise would be a good spot for a second night. stream right here. First water since the ridge. So that's the mountain that we came around the shoulder of. And now we're having to climb up another and around another shoulder of a mountain. Oofda. Whew. It's going to take another hour to round this second mountain. There's one more campsite up high on the ridge. I see we're at a junction.
Which way do we go?
Looks like we go this way.
Sweet.
I guess that means we finally made it around that mountain. Unless we're supposed to go up there. Yeah. Oh crap. Just when you think you're done climbing, a little bit more. Not wanting to jinx it, but I think we might actually finally be doing the downhill to the trailhead. One more trail sign. A little bit of a road walk here at the end. Old abandoned road. This wasn't about conquering a mountain or logging miles. It was about reconnecting. 3 years ago, I introduced Dax to backpacking. Now at 15, he's becoming his own kind of adventurer. For me, this trip is proof that the best traditions are worth fighting to keep alive. Woohoo! Holy cow. We made it. So the final tally for the day, according to the GPS, is almost 15 miles, which means that either the GPS is off or the guidebook is off, or maybe I just didn't allow quite enough distance for the side trip up Little Snowy Mountain. That could be too, because it did seem like more than a half a mile one direction. But it's 4 o'clock and you set a blistering pace, my friend. If you think about it, if this was a multi-day trip, we would not camp until 6:30 or 7. We easily would have done 4 more miles. That's a 20 plus mile day. That's pretty impressive. So, final thoughts. What was the worst thing of the trip for you?
Probably climbing the mountain to get to the view.
Yeah, climbing up the ridge. Yeah, my worst was definitely the last mountain. That was one mountain too far. I had my mind all set that we were just going to contour around the edge of the mountain and not really gain that much, but it was more like a pass. So that really sucked. I forgot to calculate the total elevation gain, so I'll put that down here, but I'm pretty sure it was over 3,000 feet. So 20 plus mile day and over 3,000 feet of elevation gain is really awesome. Best thing of the trip?
Probably being able to go and just get creek water pretty much the whole trip.
Right? Nice fresh spring creek water. Yeah, well, I am a sucker for a ridge walk, so I love being up high like that in a high country and being able to look down on either side into two states.
Yep.
But despite that, probably the best thing for me was being able to hang out around the campfire
That too.
and get reacquainted. So Dax 3 years ago was a really good hiking companion, and he has grown into a great hiking companion. So that's got me already looking forward to next year. I'll try to make it a little more strenuous. You think you're good enough with this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care. You know what you want to say? You don't. You got it all prepared. You said you were ready.
Nuh-uh.
You did.
Nuh-uh.
So, as we were saying, this hike has two. What was?
Talking about Canada.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking about Canada.
Well,
you were talking about Canada.
Just past talking
You
about
were
Canada.
the one who thought we were going into Canada.